Aether, Axelar, ICP. I want to take a look at those three because in my school community that I always talk about, we've got discussion groups, we have courses. We had a discussion about different ones to take a look at because, as you know, the market has taken quite a dip because of all the international things going on. And some things are starting to move. This is the total market is starting to move again to the upside. It could continue to go sideways and consolidate a while. Who knows? But I want to point out some technical analysis things that you can take a look at because some of these are looking pretty interesting, at least to me. We went over a whole bunch in the community. I'm just going to highlight a couple here, those three that I mentioned real quickly. Also, I added a new course with some technical analysis indicators. The first one I discussed is exactly how OBV works. I'm Brian. I'm a big dumb animal. My disclaimer, don't do what I do, informational purposes only. I am not a technical analysis expert. However, I have been using it for well over 30 years. And I used to be a programmer a long time ago, and I actually wrote technical analysis software. Why do I mention that? Because to me, there are two types of personalities. One type that just says, all right, I'll just do whatever you say. In other words, check out this indicator. If it goes above 80, buy it. If it goes below 20, sell it. Then there's the other personality like myself. Sometimes this is not a great personality, but I don't want to do that unless I understand why. So I like to understand the mathematical formula behind it and what is it trying to tell us. And I will say, we're just going to look at a couple things, but I'm a big believer, and I think most people are, that you want to look at multiple indicators, not just one or two. You don't just look at one and say, I'm going to do everything based on that. Okay, that being said, let's jump right into this. This is the total market. It's been somewhat going sideways, but this on-balance volume, we'll talk about that in a second, has been going up nicely. Essentially, that's buying pressure. Then if we look at the others market, if I could type properly, and it's down quite a bit from its most recent high, almost 50%. Buying pressure is somewhat sideways. So that's not a bad thing either. I did a video yesterday if you want to see what I think about alt season. Spoiler alert, I think it's coming, and I don't think we're in it yet. Okay, so let's look at the three that I mentioned. First up, Axelar, which is interoperability. Now, I'm not going to talk about them. We're just going to basically look at the charts. So let's pull it up on TradingView here. And if we go back, we'll pull up basically part of 2024 and 2025, and here's where we are. This is why I want to show you this particular one. This indicator's on balance volume. I go over it in great detail in my community, but essentially you want it to go up and to the right. It's buying pressure, and it helps because volume precedes price. Basic economics. This chart is very interesting. From this high here back in December to this last, I'll just draw it through there. You can see it's obviously on a downtrend. But if you look at are people buying it, are people selling it, look at that. These two things are diverging, even though the price has been coming down significantly with an all-time low of about 28 cents or so. It's currently at 35 cents. This is a daily chart, so this might represent maybe 2 weeks. Look at this pop right here when it shot up, and look at the buying pressure that shot up. So one of two things could happen. Sometimes the price will shoot up and you won't have much of an OBV move. See, look at all these days here that went up. And if we come down here, it kind of went sideways and a little up. So is this anywhere near as powerful as, say, this one? They look exactly the same. But look at the buying pressure. From here to here, not much. But this one, from here to here, had a big pop. And this one, which is twice as long, had a very significant run up. So this, to me, is a really good chart. Just looking at that. If we want to throw in one more thing, let's look at some volume levels and shelves. So this particular one, most of it is right here. If you're looking, again, you make your own decisions. Personally, I own all three of these. If I were to buy more, I would wait until it clears this first volume shelf, so to speak. But what is very interesting is that if you look at that, it just has very little resistance as it runs back up to its December high of 1.1, and it's at 35 cents. So what is that? A 3x? something around there, just to get to its December high. Not that it's going to do that, but if it can get through here with all this buying pressure, I think it could really run. All right, that was Axelar. Next one, Aether. DPIN, decentralized physical infrastructure. They particularly focus on AI in gaming. Again, this is another interesting one because we see as it's been going down and then recently just rocketed down. But let's look at this longer term trajectory. During this pricing through here, the last half of 2024, not much buying pressure. It really started here when it started to go up. And you can see that's when it ran up because it had even more buying pressure. Even though it went down, 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 it went sideways through there, not terrible. You would have expected it to come down. It didn't. It just went sideways. And now throughout this sideways movement, it just kept going up. So what's interesting is if you look at this somewhat sideways movement and down, what happened during that time for this OBV here? Well, it didn't go down. The pricing went down, 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 but the OBV went up, 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 up. That's buying pressure. That would tell you that eventually, looking at these in and of them, just alone, standalone indicator, you would say, okay, with all this buying pressure, I would expect this to break to the upside. What's it going to do? It's either going to go up, down, or stay the same. What's going to push it up or down? Buying and selling pressure is one of those things. And volume always precedes price. Why do we say that? Because for this exact reason. You're seeing this volume go up. Look how much it went from here to here, yet the price went down. So this volume has been going up before the price went up. That means volume precedes price. Best kind of indicators you can get are the ones that are going to tell you what might happen in the future. And then it shot up here. It's retraced all of that from here to here, but not too much of a down when it comes to the volume itself. So even though it's almost at an all-time low over here, 0.03, and this is another 3x to get from here to here, and the OBV is just straight up. That one looks good to me as well. The last one I wanted to point out, or maybe two, but let's look at ICP, which you're all familiar with. And let's kill that. And if we look at about the same time frame as the other ones, it was up middle of last year or April to at around 18 or 20. It's all the way down to 5. But during this time when it came down, volume came down. When it went sideways, volume went sideways. Volume sort of moved with the price, but then it came down substantially. It's been hitting some lows in volume and lows in price. That's very different than these that had lows in prices, but highs in OBV. That's Aether, Axelar, lows in prices, highs. So to me, Axelar and Aether look more promising for a short-term breakout at the moment than ICP. So what would I do? Well, I already own some ICP, but if I was looking to buy more, I'd want to see some more trajectory. Now, this is going sideways, and we are starting to see some ups in OBV, which is good. Interestingly enough, just with the most recent, this is just some Fibonacci lines. It seems to have come down all the way to the bottom here, and it might take off. But personally, I would like to see more of that OBV. In other words, more buying pressure before it moves. Am I saying ICP is not going to go up? No, I think ICP is going to do very well. I just think the other two we looked at might break a little sooner. So if I'm trying to gauge when I might want to buy some more, I think I've got more time and I can take more time on ICP. If I could only buy 2 of the 3 right now and I had to wait for the third one for another paycheck to buy a little, I would get Aether and Axelar now and I would hold back on ICP. That is not what I wanted to do. I wanted to just throw up a quick volume. And you can see this volume shelf's at 4.97 and the price, the price is 4.97. This largest volume shelf is around 5. But once it gets through there, let's see, its volume is a little more choppy because you can see it's not much resistance and then it comes back out around this pricing level of 10.6 and then it goes back up. So that's it for today. I hope that was helpful. I wanted to point out how you can use some of these indicators. The volume ones help because when you're looking at them and you see one of those volume shelves like this one here, it is considered, meaning this is the farthest, the most volume at this price level. That's considered resistance. You've got to get through that. Once you get through it, it might come test it and it would be support. So if you wanted to wait, that's what I would wait for. But those two, I think, look very interesting. And there are so many more that you might want to start going through to get an idea if you want to DCA in or get in for the first time. If you think if you like what they do and what industry they're in. For example, DPIN or interoperability or ICP. Hope this was helpful. Have a great day. Hope you can all make generational wealth together with crypto. Thanks for watching.